if you've ever lost someone. Not because they passed away, but because they changed. Or because you both just drifted apart. This is for you. They're still alive. You could probably find them right now. Scroll your phone, search their name, click their profile. But it hurts, because they're not the same person you used to know. And maybe you're not the same either. I've been there, and honestly, I still carry that pain with me. Some losses don't feel like they ever heal. They just get quieter, more distant, but never fully gone. Some days all it takes is one memory, one scent, one song. And suddenly, you're right back in that moment, wondering how something so real could disappear so quietly. And it's confusing, isn't it? How someone can go from being your everything to being a stranger with your secrets. How someone who once held your hand like you were the most precious thing in the world now won't even reply to a message. That kind of shift, it doesn't just break your heart. It breaks your sense of reality. Sometimes it even makes you question everything. Your worth, your value, your ability to recognize love when it's real. You start to wonder if maybe it was always one-sided. If maybe you were always loving alone. You used to talk every day, wake up to their good morning texts, share memes, fears, secrets. You had inside jokes no one else understood. They knew what made you laugh, and they also knew what could break you. You told them things you've never told anyone. Dreams, insecurities, the little details about your childhood that still haunt you. And they listened. They didn't just listen. They understood. Or at least it felt that way. There was a time where you didn't imagine a future without them in it. Even when you were apart, they were still the first person you wanted to tell things to. They were your person. You built rituals around each other. Weekend calls, late-night rants. Even silence with them felt full. And the way they said your name, it held meaning. It felt like home. Like no matter what the day brought, they were your place to return to. I remember one night, I was sitting on the floor of my room, barely holding it together. And I called them. No explanation, no warning. Just silence on my end. And they stayed. They didn't ask me to speak. They just stayed on the line, breathing with me. Sometimes love isn't in grand gestures. It's in that kind of quiet presence. We had songs, places, phrases. We had a language of our own, built on tiny details and mutual comfort. That kind of connection isn't easy to find, and when it's gone, it leaves behind a silence that screams. I remember this one afternoon. We were sitting in my car, parked outside their building, and it started raining. Not heavily, just that soft drizzle that makes everything feel slow and fragile. We didn't even speak for 10 minutes. Just sat there, listening to the rain and feeling everything and nothing at once. And they turned to me and said, This is my favorite kind of silence. The kind that doesn't need to be filled. That moment never left me. It was so simple, yet so full. It felt like real love. The quiet kind. But love can shift in silence, too. Months later, I was walking down the street, headphones in, minding my own business. And I saw them. They were walking toward me from the opposite direction. For a second, time froze. You know that feeling. That rush of panic, the what do I do moment. I looked at them. I smiled. And they just walked past me. Like I was nobody. Like I never mattered. Not even a glance. Not even a flicker of recognition. And that was the moment I realized something. The version of me they once loved didn't exist for them anymore. And maybe, just maybe, they never really saw me to begin with. I still remember our last real conversation. Not the final message. Not the last seen on a screen. I mean, the last time we really talked. We were sitting in that old cafe we used to love, the one with the crooked chairs and mismatched mugs. It felt different that day. Colder, like something unspoken was already hanging in the air. They were quiet. I was trying to hold the conversation together, throwing out random memories, little jokes, asking questions I already knew the answers to, just to keep things from falling apart. And then they looked up, eyes tired, and said, "I don't feel it anymore." Just like that. No yelling, no tears, just calm detachment, like it was a weather report, something casual. I nodded like I understood, but inside it felt like something snapped quietly, like a light went out. I walked them to the train station. They hugged me, brief, polite, familiar and distant all at once. And then they left. I stood on the platform for a few minutes after the train pulled away, not sure what to do. That was the last time I saw them. The end didn't happen all at once. It was slow, subtle. One less message, one unanswered call, one "I'm busy" that turned into complete silence. You didn't even fight. 'Cause how do you fight someone who's slowly slipping away without making it worse? You just kept hoping they'd notice, that they'd reach out, that they'd say something, anything. But the longer the silence lasted, the louder the truth became. They weren't coming back. You'd rehearse texts in your head. You'd hover over their name, wondering if it was desperation or hope. You told yourself, if they care, they'll reach out. But they didn't. And each day felt heavier than the last. And then one day, it hit you. They're not coming back. Not because of something you did, but because they chose not to. That's when the silence stopped being a question and became your answer. And it's hard, because the world keeps moving. People laugh, time passes, but you're still stuck in that silence, in that in-between space where they used to exist. You don't want to sound dramatic, so you don't say anything. But inside, it's chaos, a constant war between letting go and holding on. And the worst part, there was no goodbye, no final closure, no moment to wrap things up, to understand what went wrong. They just vanished. And now you're left to make peace with a mess that never got cleaned up. People think grieving only comes with death, but you know better. You grieved a living person. You stared at the ceiling at 3 a.m., asking yourself what you did wrong. You replayed old conversations, looking for signs you missed. You wondered if you were too much or not enough. You cried quietly, alone, because it felt embarrassing to hurt this much over someone who technically did nothing wrong. But they did. They left, and you're allowed to grieve that. Grief is tricky. It's not loud. It's not always visible. Sometimes it's in the way you flinch when you hear their name, or how you pause at a photo, or how you avoid certain streets. You pretend you're okay because the world expects you to be, but inside you're still bleeding. No one sees it. No one asks about it. Because how do you explain you're heartbroken over someone who still exists, just not for you anymore? You carry that weight in silence. You get good at pretending, at laughing when you want to cry, at saying I'm fine when you're barely holding it together. And the worst part, some days, even you start to believe your own lie. You lose parts of yourself you didn't even know were tied to them. Songs that once made you happy now sting. Places you loved feel empty. And memories, they replay like ghost stories. Part 4, the ghost of what used to be. They still live in your head sometimes. Certain songs bring them back, certain places, certain dreams. You imagine what you'd say if you saw them again. Would you smile, walk away, or just break down? They haunt your happiest memories because they were part of them. And maybe the hardest part of moving on is realizing they already have. You feel like a ghost in your own story, like you're still stuck in a chapter they've already closed. You wonder if they talk about you, if they ever feel the absence too, or if they just forgot. And deep down, a part of you wishes they'd randomly message you one day, just to say they miss you, just to prove they still care. But days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and that message never comes. You begin to rewrite your memories. You question if any of it was even real. Did they ever care the way you did? Were the laughs, the late-night talks, the promises genuine? Or were you just someone to pass the time? Then the guilt comes. Guilt for still caring. Guilt for checking their profile. Guilt for not being over it yet. But grief doesn't follow a schedule. And healing isn't a straight road. But listen, you're not broken. Just because they stop showing up for you doesn't mean you're not worth showing up for. Just because someone walked away doesn't mean everyone will. You're not too much. You're not too sensitive. You are not unlovable. You just gave your heart to someone who didn't know how to hold it. And that's not on you. Love isn't supposed to feel like begging, or waiting, or wondering if you matter. The right people will make you feel seen, heard, held. You deserve the kind of connection that doesn't come with conditions. The kind where you're not scared to be vulnerable, where silence doesn't mean distance, where you feel safe just being who you are. You deserve someone who chooses you every day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. And you deserve peace, not the kind that's given to you by someone else, but the kind you build within yourself, slowly, patiently, honestly. I knew I was healing the day I walked past the bakery we used to visit every Sunday, and didn't stop. I used to avoid that street altogether. The smell of cinnamon used to punch me in the chest, remind me of laughter over coffee, and the way they'd steal bites from my plate. But this time, I just kept walking. No pause, no weight in my throat, no tightening in my chest. I noticed the scent, sure, but I noticed it the way you notice a song on the radio. Something that once meant everything, now just another part of the background. And that's how healing comes. Not like a movie scene, no dramatic moment, just a quiet realization that you didn't break when you should have. Healing won't look like fireworks. It won't come with closure. It'll be small, quiet, like the first time you go a whole day without thinking about them, like the first time you hear their favorite song and don't feel that ache in your chest, like the first time you smile, really smile, without pretending. It'll feel strange, almost like guilt. But it's not. It's proof that you're getting better. And healing isn't linear. Some days you'll feel strong. Other days you'll feel like you're drowning. That's okay. Every step forward, even the tiniest one, still counts. There's no deadline to stop missing them. But there is permission to start loving yourself more than the memory of someone who let you go. And one day you'll wake up, and the heaviness will be less. You'll see their name and feel nothing, or maybe just a gentle memory, one that doesn't hurt anymore. And when that happens, I hope you realize the love you were giving them. You can give that to yourself now. You can rebuild the parts they left behind. You can be whole again, not because they came back, but because you came back to you. So if you're still carrying that loss, this is your reminder. You're allowed to let go of someone who let go of you. You're allowed to miss them and still move on. You're allowed to love them and still choose yourself. And one day, someone new will walk into your life, and they'll stay, not because they have to, but because they want to. Until then, keep breathing, keep healing, keep going. You're not alone.